Are you battling a lot of stress, anxiety, worry about the future? If you are seeing that the world is rapidly changing and there are turbulences happening in the world and you are getting in that perturbed state, you're not alone. And this is not happening right now only at this time. Did you know that a renowned warrior went through the same experience 5,500 years ago? And what he learned, if we embrace that today, that can completely transform our lives at this time. So 5,500 years ago, what would have happened which is still relevant for us today? And how can we leverage that to come on top of our game and not be thrown off by the changes that are happening in the world and are increasingly rapidly going to manifest in the years to come? Let's deep dive into that and see what is it that happened then. Obviously, you know the story of Mahabharata. You know the story of Arjuna. But what I'm going to share today, it has never been shared like this before. Today, I'm going to take you behind the scenes of what actually transpired at this time. So there is this warrior, our hero, Arjuna, one of the sharpest of the Pandava brothers, one of the best archers in the world. Having been through a very long journey, having endured manipulation, cunning, being cheated out of their kingdom, and having gone through all kinds of ups and downs in their lives, finally came a moment where Pandavas and Kauravas, the two opposing parties, in the great war that happened 5,500 years ago, now they are face to face. And in this moment, our hero, Arjuna, he starts to have a panic attack. He is battling intense turmoil within himself. On one hand, his emotions are pulling him in one direction, and on the other hand, his mind is pulling him in another direction. His logic was telling him, hey, this war is necessary. We have endured so much of injustice. This is the time to balance the scales. But at the same time, his heart was being torn by the people who he was about to fight. Because who he was about to fight were his teachers, his grandparents, all the people who he had spent his childhood with, who pampered him as a child. So now there is this intense turmoil going on with him. He is describing, my hands are shaking, I can't hold my bow. So he's basically going through an anxiety attack, a panic attack. In such a crucial moment, when everything was about to get decided, this was not the time for him to get into a panic attack. What was really needed for him was to stay in alignment and stay true to his purpose. But he's saying, I can't fight like this in this mental and emotional state of turmoil, internal turmoil. I'm no good. I can't fight. Then what ensued is what we are deeply, deeply interested in. How can somebody be in such an intense panic attack and after a short conversation, he is able to fully recover his composure? Not only that, he has got lethal clarity. What could have happened in that less than an hour conversation? And who was that conversation with? So those who are from India or Indian subcontinent, they obviously know that there was a conversation where Arjuna is talking about his internal state of turmoil with his best friend, his childhood friend, Krishna, Sri Vasudeva Krishna. But this is what was happening superficially. But what was really happening and what nobody knows is this. This was not just a conversation between Arjuna and Sri Krishna. This was in reality a conversation happening between Nara and Narayana. So you would ask, who is this Nara and who is this Narayana? So Nara and Narayana are not people. Nara is the state of individualized consciousness, an individual life form, which is our hero Arjuna right now in this context. And Narayana is transcendental consciousness, beyond individuality, the all consciousness, the unity consciousness, Krishna consciousness, or Christ consciousness. It's one and the same thing. In today's terminology, we will call it the 5D consciousness. So this dialogue is happening between two different levels of consciousness altogether, played out on the screen as Arjuna is asking doubts to Sri Krishna, but both of them are embodying completely different states of consciousness. Now you would ask, why is this important? How is this related to me? How does this come back to my own stress, anxiety, panic, whatever I'm going through in my life? How does it help me? This is the exact solution that was given at that time. It was relevant at that time, and today it is very, very relevant, even more relevant probably than it was at that time, because today it is not only Arjun who is going through this internal turmoil. Right now, entire humanity is on a cusp of a massive big change. You are seeing the change already happening in the world. I've been talking about it since past 2-3 years. I've even written a book about it, but I'll just summarize this right now. Humanity right now is sitting at the cusp of a massive change. What does that change look like? This is a multi-dimensional change, meaning this change is happening at all levels of our existence. What do I mean by that? So you are seeing changes at the physical level, where you are seeing wars happening, border skirmishes happening in different countries, in different parts of the world, trade wars happening, trade routes getting affected. That is physical disruption. Next level up, at the level of intellect, at the level of innovation, there is massive change, right? Technology disruption, be it AI, be it all the fourth industrial revolution technologies that are coming in, that are creating new possibilities for humanity to explore and experience what was not possible for us to do even a short while ago, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And this is like a self-feeding loop. As the technology advances, it feeds on itself, and the rise of further technological advancements, it becomes exponential. So we are seeing an exponential growth in technology. This exponential growth in technology has the potential to impact the geopolitical balance of the world. It already is. For example, till now, the global economical system has been dependent on US-based dollar dominant system. But because of blockchain technology, now other countries have the possibility to create alternatives which balance the playing field, where it's not only one country which is dominating the entire planet, right? So these level changes are happening. Going further deeper, there are energetic and conscious changes that are happening. According to astrologists, we have just entered into a new age, which is called as the age of Aquarius. So there are some telltale signs of this age of Aquarius: rapid innovation, rapid growth of your consciousness, rapid spiritual evolution, rapid growth in understanding of quantum technologies, in understanding of the self. How does our life force energy function? Who are we at our core? Rapid understanding and detachment from the karmic patterns in which we have grown. So this will lead to a lot of behavioral changes. This will lead to a lot of innovation. This will lead to a lot of healing breakthroughs. But the thing is, when so much of change happens in a very short period of time, those who are unprepared, they find it very difficult to cope with it. Oh my God, so much of change. How do I handle this? So normally then what results is overwhelm, anxiety, panic, fear of missing out. And of course, goes without saying, this is a time where adaptability is needed the most. So if this is going on right now in 2025, why am I talking about something which happened 5,500 years ago, and why is it relevant? Let's dive into this, because the key, Sri Krishna gave the key 5,500 years ago. And even though this key has been very easily available and accessible, we haven't capitalized on it. We haven't made use of it. And because of that, we are on the cusp of recreating the same cycle. See, the war that happened in India at that time, 5,500 years ago. If you calculate, so there are books and documents which give you the total number of casualties that happened at that time, the total number of armed forces that participated in that war, and the total number of casualties. If you calculate the total number of casualties, you will find that the total number of casualties that happened at that time, 5,500 years ago, is more than the casualties in World War I and World War II put together. If this is of interest, please let me know in the comments below and I'll pull out the calculation and I'll make a separate video about it. What was the total number of casualties? Coming back to the point is this. We have a short runway as humanity to understand we are operating with exact same patterns right now. If heads of state start talking about World War III, it is not a joke, right? Why do we want to go there as humanity? But that's a secondary question. First is, how can we sit in the right space within us so that we see everything for what it is, beyond your personal ambitions, beyond your emotional charge. See, one country taking a revenge on another, all of this is emotional charge, right? But will this bring us well-being as humanity? So what was it that Sri Krishna said? Let's dive into this. So in about a 45-minute to a 1-hour conversation, Sri Krishna started understanding his problems and helping him understand whatever he's going through from the right perspective. But eventually, slowly, and he was giving methods. Methods for what? To change his level of consciousness, to change his level of perception, going from a fragile, individualized human being, an individualized consciousness, to slowly helping him perceive higher and higher and higher levels of consciousness, where finally, before this conversation ends, he gives him an experience of transcendental consciousness, unity consciousness, oneness. This in Mahabharata is described as Vishwarupam. Vishwarupa means the true nature of reality itself. What is reality? And when we understand the true nature of reality, it naturally happens that your fears, your anxiety, your worry, your suffering, it ceases naturally and you fall into a state of bliss. When Arjuna experienced this, his words to his best friend, Sri Krishna at that time were, now I understand what you've been trying to help me see. All my doubts, all my fears are gone. I'm feeling extreme peace and bliss within myself. I see the true nature of reality, a true nature of who you are, a true nature of who I am. So in that one short hour, how was Sri Krishna able to get rid of his anxiety, panic attacks, all the turmoil that, overwhelm and everything that Arjuna is going through? And how does it matter to you? See, the thing is, what Sri Krishna made available at that time is even more easily available to us today. This is what people in my community, people in my team, people in my family, they are experiencing on a constant basis, regardless of how old you are. My almost 11-year-old daughter, when I get her into that state of transcendental consciousness, she says, this is blissful nothingness. So if a 10-year-old, 11-year-old can experience this without having to do any rigorous practices or anything like that, what makes you believe you can't, right? So I've created a free resource for you in our free community. We are creating free resources where you can come and experience it for yourself. This is not a state that I can talk and explain to you fully. It will not make sense. But when you experience it, it takes you into a completely different dimension. Why and how does this matter? See, all suffering that you are going through or you have experienced in the past, anything, any human ailment, say mental or emotional ailment, stress, anxiety, depression, overwhelm, panic, frustration, fear, whatever it is a learned behavior. When you were growing up as a child, you saw people handling unpredictable situations, sudden changes with these kind of states. That's what you learned. So what this is a karmic impression. The society or the environment in which you grew conditioned you to respond to unpredictable, unknown, sudden situations like this. And that's the learned behavior. That is exactly what Arjuna was displaying. Arjuna was a trained warrior. He was trained to ruthlessly kill the enemy. But this is where he is getting torn, because now he is not only fighting enemy, he is fighting his near and dear ones who are in the enemy camp. Right? So this turmoil was happening. And what Sri Krishna enabled him to experience and realize was that transcendental consciousness, oneness, unity consciousness. When you sit in this blissful state of unity consciousness, you realize that all experiences are totally temporary. Bliss is the true nature of existence. Right now, for those who are sensitive, I'm creating this space for you. Instead of just being in your mind, if you allow yourself to be in your body and experience the energy that is coming to you, you will see that there's a different feel to the energy that I'm sending. So it is this transcendental consciousness which is the key to solving all the wars, fighting, and at the individual level, ensuring that well-being, peace, and bliss is our natural state of being. If this is something that has helped you, if this has made sense for you, please give me a thumbs up as a feedback mechanism so that I understand what I'm saying, what I'm sharing makes sense. And if you want to experience this for yourself, please use the link in the description box below. Come join us in our free community and you will be able to enjoy the free resources which will help you take from one level of consciousness to another level altogether. Come enjoy the bliss of the transcendental self. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll look forward to speaking with you in the next one. Till then, take care.